Altenberg, Germany, season opener in the BMW IBSF World Cup bobsleigh and skeleton. And we are ready for the second heat of the two-man bobsleigh competition. We came out to play in a snowstorm and a bobsleigh race broke out. The snow started before heat one and continues. It's a little lighter now, but it is still going to be a factor. Martin Haven and John Morgan looking back at heat one.
Nico Walter, Christian Poser of Germany. Third place out of the first run. They didn't start in the optimal position, but they put themselves in great position not only to win a medal, but they could also win the race. But these two, Friedrich, this is the guy who won the gold medal last year in two-man. He won the gold medal the year before in the World Championships. And he's again in a good position to medal and win the race. And he went 6th and 8th, the two German sleds. This Latvian sled, Oscar Melbardis, Damas Drieskens, they went second. And in a snowstorm, you want to go early. But he posted great starts, great finish. He's the top of the leaderboard. He's been there a lot last season. He won the World Cup title. And, you know, it's going to be very interesting here in the second run.
Well, he did get a great start draw, Oscar Melbardis, second off, and he will go last. But look in sixth position, Max Arndt came out of the backfield, 19th start draw, and he went sixth fastest. But there are 4 sleds within 1600s. One of Korea cannot be counted out, because despite a decent start time, both Korean sleds were absolutely burning at the bottom of the track. Stephen Holcomb, USA, double world champion in 2012, two-man and four-man. He's down in 11th spot. Teammate Nick Cunningham in 17th, and the top 20 rounded out by Benny Meyer. Canada's Chris Spring, Jan Verbrugge, the Czech Republican Oni Bidolf, despite a 10th fastest start for the Briton, they do not make the second heat, cut at a field of 20. So 3 Germans in with a shot at the medals. Francesco Friedrichs, Nico Walter. See Chris Spring packing his bags and going home. Last year's winner, Bernd Hefty, he ain't going to get a medal. He's way down in the backfield. Hefty with a disappointing first run. But Oscar Melbardis, last year's two-man World Cup champion. 2 wins in Calgary and St. Moritz, only once out of first or second place, and that was in Koenigsegg. He was beaten by Hefty here last year. Don't think that's going to happen this year.
Here's one of our final pilot sleds. They're sending down the track just to make sure all the timing works. And of course, they've done a lot of sweeping. And you know, it's a winter sport. You know, a lot of things can happen here with the snow.
Just occasionally you get winter weather in winter sport. So here's how they'll start in heat 2. We go 20 down to 1. Both heats count. The total time that they spend on the track will decide who wins and who doesn't. So Benny Meyer, who was 20th, will go first, and Oscar Melbardis, who was first, will go 20th. And whether the weather gets better or worse, only the next hour will tell us. Melbardis could be going into the teeth of a blizzard. It could be beautiful conditions. It could be raining. It could be anything. Once the weather changes, you're in the lap of the gods, and there's just sometimes when it's an outdoor sport, the outdoors comes to get you.
Looks like they're still sweeping the track. Looks like a slight delay here for our first sled, which is going to be some Austrians. And
I think they sent an extra forerunner just to double check everything. What can happen is the photoelectric eyes that are used, the beams that the sled breaks, which trip the timing system, can get snow on them. And I think they just wanted to be extra certain. We just heard him rumble below us up to the finish area. I think they want to be extra certain, because if you send a competitor down and the thing's not running, then he has to go again and
gets back to
yeah. Then it all becomes a horrid mess.
So we haven't seen the green light or heard the button yet, but they should be pretty quickly. Two heats combined time. Lowest combined time is the
It'll be 2 minutes after the pilot sled goes, or 2 minutes 20. I think they'll be on a 2 minutes hurry up. Was intended to be a commercial break before the final 10 sleds. I think we will be doing a no break hurry up offense here. And the jury might even have taken the decision to announce to the teams that they're shortening the time between the sleds. It's normally a 2-minute interval to allow for sweeping and for the sled to be taken off the bottom of the track.
We have had 3 races so far. Great Britain won women's skeleton. Then we had the first bobsled race, and it wasn't a surprise. Would you call the bobsled race result Kelly Humphreys coming in and doing what she did?
Well, only
Canada?
if you looked at last year's results apart from anything else.
That was a surprise. And then we had a third different nation win in men's skeleton with Latvia, the Dukar. So we've had 3 different nations in 3 races. And boy, Latvia or Germany here, I think, got to be the favorites to walk away with this gold medal.
Yeah. Well, would be the first medal for the Germans, so or at least the first gold if they do win it.
They did pretty good in women's skeleton. They won 2 medals there.
Second, third, and fourth for their 3 girls.
And they had a 4th in men's skeleton, too. So only in women's bobsled were they disappointed.
Here we go, Benny Meyer with Marco Rangel behind him on the Austrian sled. Benny Meyer, former skeleton slider, like his brother Raphael still is.
5:44 in the first one. Set of clocks there, yeah, it's 5:46.
Again, in these conditions, the wind, a little gust can make a big difference to how you're sprinting.
We have clocks in front of us on the commentator. There it is, information screen. The weather outside is frightful. But we're inside, so we're in good shape here. But Benny's the rabbit, we're going to find out. He had what kind of times he's got. The clocks aren't perfectly running here. In front of us, they are. Yeah,
having a little trouble with the graphics. 1:11.3, 1:12.7 speed in the first heat, and out of the Kreisel, 1:11.9 compared to 1:13.8. So
57.35. That's
and a
not
big
good.
skid. Well, you don't need the clock to say the time went away there, do you?
5:57.35 in the first run. Let's see what he gets here. 58 flat, 6,500 slower. And he started late. He started 20th position in the first run. So he's 6,500 slower. That wasn't that good a run. It was pretty good the first run.
I think the snow is coming back. I think it's snowing a little bit more than
I think it's a wetter snow.
I
think it's a wetter snow. I think the temperatures got warmer. They aren't big flakes, but I think it's snow that's sticking to the sleds. And I think that's more of a havoc than the big fluffy flakes we saw in the first half hour of the race. This is Exeter 13-14. Eyes barely above the cowling, and he's got some steering problems there. He lost a lot of time right there.
Yeah. Getting sideways isn't going forward. So he won't drop out of the top 20, but I'm not sure he's going to advance. Alexei Stulnev now with Nikolai Mzedilov. And Nikolai doing the donkey work here. Stulnev with an injury after a crash in the second day of training. Had stitches and is limping around, as you can see.
Knee pad on.
Yeah,
he's got
really swollen knee.
He didn't have that
stiff.
knee pad on the first heat.
No, he didn't.
So watch him limp. He's got 6-8 stitches. The stitches have got to be still in there.
Yeah, they found that from somewhere. He did half a dozen steps. He's going to do the same half dozen and try and insinuate himself into the sled as Nikolai really hoofs it off the top.
Still 41.5 start speed's pretty good.
Listen, they started 5:67, 5:75 in the first heat. He's giving it the big beans.
This is for points. Normally there wasn't any long-range season points involved, which determines your seedings in races. He would have just taken the weekend off because we saw him the day after the accident in our hotel, and he looked a little beaten up.
He started the season Lake Placid last year with an 18th spot when he was fully healthy. He may go only one worse here, limping off the top.
Hey, to make the top 20 in his conditions, unbelievable. He's got the lead here. He's got good lines, way better lines. Let's see you getting this straight away. Look at the runner tips here. Pretty smooth.
Speed's not an awful lot higher than the Austrians, but 2200's in front. He's going to canter away here from Benny Meyer.
57.68, 40 slower. So the track's sort of telling us now that it's slower, for sure. Because these guys, he went 12th. He went right when it was snowing hard.
Yeah, definitely.
But you give them credit. The start time, start speed, and velocity was excellent for one guy pushing. Look how gingerly he's getting out of that sled.
These guys are built tough, aren't they? I mean, all of them, every single one of them.
Oh, yeah, he's thick. Trust me. Look at these lines.
Ooh, really dug in there, 11 to 12.
11 to 12, there's nothing more challenging than those two corners. Look how clean he was here.
Yeah. When you hit 13 sideways, it pretty much stops the sled dead in terms of your momentum.
Actually, good job.
All right, a few days to rest up, 2 or 3 maybe. He might take it easy in training and sit in next week. Maciej Luty of Poland. He's the Polish #1 now, the young guy when he came in. He's now 25, started back in 2007. in the Europa Cup, the European Cup, and worked his way up into their World Cup team 3 seasons ago.
2,500ths lead over the Russians at the bottom.
Brand new sled again, another BTC Latvian-built sled, and that has helped to bring their performance up.
It's the start speed. The clock is one thing. How the brakeman gets in the sled and the driver gets in the sled affects your start time. So look at this.
Wow.
They're 3 kilometers down. That's the technique of getting in the sled.
5:52, slower start than their first heat.
But he had pretty good lines coming down the track.
Yeah, he drove nice and smoothly, and that's what got him into the race.
Good 9 coming up. He's got to be clean here. And not perfect, but not bad. Huge lead. 1,200's better than the Russians in this heat. Also, that's related to the start. Let's see what he does down at the bottom.
Speed not even 100 into the Kreisel, though.
Losing time back. I don't think he can lose that much on the bottom unless he skids here. That's pretty good. Probably get it down to single digits, maybe 12 or 13, but he should be the leader.
Matches Lutin stays in front. Wasn't by much, was it? Wow.
Alexei still did a great job there, Alexei.
Yep.
Hey, so this is a good result for the Polish. No worse than 18th place.
No, absolutely.
And especially with the start velocity. That's, again, start time's one thing. The velocity is as you go in the first curve, so that has a lot to do with the athletes entering the sled.
Yep.
Can't emphasize enough the start, but boy, how you enter the sled has a lot to do with speed. Here's a couple taps.
He's trying not to steer at all, doesn't move his hands, and just lets the sled try and correct itself.
Here is pretty good. He's trying to get over on the left side, his right, and he taps the take on before he gets in, pushes him in the middle. He went from 2,800s to 700s, and that had a lot to do with it.
Nick Cunningham and Casey Wickline for the USA. Cunningham from Monterey, California. Wickline, firefighter from Greenville, South Carolina. 30-year-old driver, 29-year-old brakeman. Cunningham, after a really slump-informed season last year, like Stephen Holcomb, really needs to rebuild now.
About start times. He had the 18th best start time in the first run, finished 17th. But could have been going down the snow too, so let's see kind of if they can get 43 kilometer speed. See the start. Okay, 5:37 start, 43.8. That's the brakeman. Good technique by Casey Wickline. Boy, it looks like he drove around that curve, though.
Nearly a tenth of a second quicker. Now, the American girls were doing that yesterday as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
Cunningham in the green with the lead then. 1,200ths of a second, was 18 at the start.
They were only 200ths ahead of the Polish sled in the first run. This is pretty good lines. Oh, it's down to 200ths. He's lost a lot.
But the Poles were only 99 kilometers an hour going on to the Kreisel. So if Cunningham can keep that speed on board, 1:11.5. The Poles were only 1:02.4 coming off.
Something wrong with that because there's no reason they should be in the red line.
1100s back. Gap is growing. Losing time.
Can't achieve Stulnev had. He beats the Poles, beat up on the Americans by 1,200ths in that heat.
That was nearly a second slower than their first run. 57.01. This was a 57.98.
That's perplexing. Those speeds on the exit of Kreisel were a little confusing.
The setup was not what they needed for the snowy conditions. And it may be, John, as you say, that the snow is getting wetter, it's more humid, it's sticking more and slowing the sled.
This was pretty good lines. You can't fault his driving, but, you know, the runners they have on, the setup of the sleds. Nick Cunningham, athlete from Boise State. Likes to promote himself also as a rodeo rider.
Yeah, well, he always wanted to be a cowboy when he was a kid and became a cowboy. Paid for his way through college as a trail riding guide and a bull rider.
Still sweeping.
Yep, they'll be doing a lot of sweeping. And this is where you really say how hard a job the track workers do. The track looks perfect, was perfect first thing this morning. Then the weather comes in, and these guys are working like Trojans. They'll be here till long past dark tonight, trying to keep the track in good shape for tomorrow morning.
Plus of all that snow sits on the track, and then that snow gets, or that ice gets soft. It's like a cover on the ice. And
well, then when they turn the refrigeration on and it freezes overnight, then it's just lumpy and bumpy and horrible and ugly. Lamin Dean and Joel Fearon, 12th fastest start. They made the race in 16th place off 10th fastest getaway in the field. Ollie Biddulph, their teammate, speed dropped away below the Kreisel. Lamin Dean never raced on this track in his life before today.
Joel Fearon wasn't with the team last year, on the Olympic team. Great track and field athlete. British have a lot of them. Boy, he ran a long ways there. 5:41. I don't know if it did him any good. He's 200 slower than he was in the first run.
Well, those of you who've been watching British bobsleighing a lot will be looking at the top of the track and thinking, hang on a minute, where's Pete Gunn? Pete Gunn is back home. He's taking a sabbatical from the sport. He and wife, Jackie, expecting another baby. So I want to say hi to Pete.
Jackie.
And Jackie, I guess a better. 3/10 up. This is a good-looking run.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. Didn't have great start velocity. I kind of think he ran too far, Joel did, compared to the first run. 34, a lot of time. Watch the runner tips here, exit of 14.
Speeds all over the shop.
Lamin Dean, this is a good run. He's clean.
A really nice-looking run. His first heat was a 56.91, and this is going to be a 54.44. Oh, 57.53, sorry.
Yeah, it's 6/10 slower.
All right.
But
however,
still, you know, he blew away the poles by 3/10 there.
Yeah.
So, hey, Lamin Dean, you're starting to show us something with driving, Lamin.
He was 1200s ahead of Matthias Luthi after the first heat, and as you say,
I'd
he
like
blew them away.
I'd like to know what his best two-minute finish was ever, because he's not here yet, but he's getting pretty close.
Yeah.
Has better results in four-man. And here's the start. Let's see how far Joel Fearon runs here. Let's watch his entry, his power step in the sled. Geez, that's, I don't know. See that little shake and that little vibration to the right? They had 43.5 speed in the first run, 42.8 or something in the second run. I think he ran one step too far and did not have a great get in the sled.
Lamin Dean leads from Matthias Luthi, 15 to go. Max Ajanov of Russia with Kirill Antip behind him. 15th after the first heat, the second of our Russians, and we're only at draw number 15.
540. Not very good start speed. He had good lines, good speed in the bottom part of the track. All the Russian sleds did the first run.
Adrianov, 16th starter.
The brakeman's comes from a great track and field family in Russia.
Antip, 29 years old, started in the team in 2011.
Good lines, red numbers.
A little wavy in the Kreisel, wasn't he?
The Russians had, you know, Lamin Dean was perfect down here. The Russians going to have to be perfect to catch him.
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think he's going to catch him.
Easing away.
He needs to get to 123 to have a chance. Doesn't have it.
122
back a little
close,
bit.
600th. Lamin Dean stays in the leader's box.
Joel Fearon.
Well, they were 700th behind the Russians, and they turn them over by 700. So that's a 1400th of a second advantage for Lamin Dean. First ever race on the ice here. And he only did 2 training runs as well. He did 4 in the 4-man, because that's their big focus. Only 2 in the 2-man, so he's now completed 4 runs at Altenberg in the 2-man.
He looked pretty comfortable to me in that second run, I can tell you that. Here we always talk about the exit of 9, how it sets you up. Little left to right, that's not good for time, and that skid right there. There's at least 600s there.
Yeah.
Well, it's so easy to be critical up there, isn't it?
Well, they know the mistakes as well. We're not telling them anything they don't know. That's for sure. So, Lamin Dean leads. Next up is last year's race winner, Beat Hefti, and he is not last to go. He's not even in the top 3. He's not even in the top 6. Not even in the top 10.
Lamond knows how to hang out in the winner's box,
Yeah.
I can tell you that. He did a lot of that in the four-man last year.
They're liking that. Grenadier Guardsman from Manchester. A little bit of a hold as well for Beat Hefty with his brand new brakeman, Sandro Ferrari.
These are two big boys. I'd like to see what their weight total is.
Yeah.
How much is in that? You know, remember, there's a maximum weight, but there's also a minimum weight of the sled. And usually you see a bunch of holes in there for people trying to make weight. So
the City sled is usually right down on the minimum.
We've seen people disqualified for a minimum weight sled infraction.
Yep. Well, let's see what happens here. Only 12th fastest starter.
We were all surprised with that. 5:39 in the first run. Entry into the sled. There it is again. The same thing happened. The entry in the sled wasn't that good. Speed's great.
Massive quads on Ferrari. I mean, huge quads.
Well, you could tell it's his first ever World Cup race, and he does not have that start technique perfected. And, you know,
that'll come. And Hefty, being a backseat monster, will know exactly what to teach him and how to teach it to him as well.
Well, we aren't familiar with Beat Hefty not being in the top 10 of a bobsled race.
Yeah.
Chrysler, quiet lines.
It's a good exit. 11 to 12, look nice as well.
Much better run than he had in the first heat.
Not pulling away by much. 1600s, 1900s.
Should get it to 100. Should be the top speed here, I would think.
Well, listen, he was 800s ahead in the first heat, and he's added nearly 2 tenths. 57.34. Big thumbs up from Lamindine, though. First ever race in Altenberg in the two-man has gone well for him, and that will boost the confidence for the four-man on Sunday as well.
Well, Beat, he might get into the top 10, but he's usually fighting to be in the top 5 minimum, if not on the podium. He won a couple of races last year.
Yeah, when you win here...
And he won this race last year.
There you go. When you win here and you're struggling to top 12...
Now watch him jump in. He's not getting... Look at his arms. See, he's not getting in with cohesion there. He might have run too far out of the drive lines. Can't tell you much other than those pictures will tell you it's friction and loss of time and energy.
Simone Bertazzo with Francesco Costa. Again, late start draw, 15th. May not have helped these guys, essentially. Right down at the bottom of the top 20. The weather did start to clear a little.
Worst start time in the top 20 sled, in the top 13 sleds. 20th best start. He finished in 13th place. That tells you of his eyes and hands ability right here. Look at that technique. One arm after the other by the very experienced Francisco Costa.
5:51 getaway, though.
Couple hundred slower. Let's watch the lines of the very experienced Italian pilot.
He's going to need everything he's got here. 1300s behind Hefty at the start now, 3 tenths down.
Is he driving a Ferrari sled?
I'm not quite sure what the heritage of it is now.
Well, we saw a Ferrari just come down with brakeman for Hefty.
But I tell you what, they could do with maybe trying out somebody else's BTC sled, because those things are flying.
Look at him, 31 to 24.
Yeah,
he's going to run out of track. He might get it down in the teens, but
another half kilometer he might get there.
He'll get down to 17 or something. He'll probably have the top speed, but
third on the splits. Will he be in front of Lamindine? Just. Third fastest run. He's in second place.
As expected, though, start time deficiency results in a not top 10 finish. Although having the 20th best start and putting yourself in 13th place just tells you of his abilities as a driver.
Hefty so far the fastest in this run, 57.34. Lamindine, 57.53. Bertazzo, 57.62.
Now let's watch the technique here by Costa. Watch the left arm and the right arm. Left arm will go in first. Look at that power step in. 2 feet, and then he had to twist his body to get in there. Look at the sled go to the right a little bit.
Same as in the first heat.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Costa, he's a very experienced driver. Tell you, the best guy we saw enter the sled was Kevin Kuska in the back of Max Arndt, but he's got a few gold medals around his neck over the last 15 years.
Yeah, and then some.
There's a technique there.
There's your race leaders, Bert Hefty, and on the left-hand side, Sandro Ferrari.
A couple big boys.
Yeah. They're as wide as they are tall, aren't they? The flashes on the helmet tell you the Koreans are at the line. So this is Dong-Yoon Kim and Younglin Jun of Korea. Start draw number 18, right towards the tail of the start draw for the 28-year-old.
They were impressive.
Yeah. Smart guy, the driver. Don, he's a graduate student, started in the program in 2009. He was their first intake. Didn't see him World Cup action until about 2012.
5:39 in the first turn. The velocity was in the 43.4, 43.5. They were how quickly they're in the sled. No variance. 5:43, only a 41.9 kilometer speed. Drift. Oh, that's it. That's history.
Hit the short wall head on there.
Now the question is how many places will he fall with that?
He had the lead at the start, 1200s behind. Got to believe that he may drop down 4 or 5 spots.
Maybe not, though. It's really clean on the bottom part of the track. Look at this line. 12, only to 14. So he stopped the bleeding, as we like to say. The clean lines down here. He might surprise us. Here he comes. Oh, that's a skid. That's going to hurt him. That wasn't the same line he had the first run.
Nah.
Neither was that.
Oh, dear. 112 kilometers now. He'll struggle to get to 120. He is second at the moment on the splits and stays second.
Boy, all of those problems.
Despite reversing down the second half of the track, he's still got great speed out of that Korean sled. Well, these Kim sleds from Korea,
both of them were
very interesting, yeah, despite not great drive lines. So what have they done with runner setup? What have they done with sled?
Watch this, steer out here a little too quickly. Boy, you couldn't hit a bad.
Look at this.
That's a tourist start ramp that they hit. And the hair's at 11, 12. And he came out of there early, both times mistakes because he came out of curves early. And look at this skid. This was all compounded from the mistake he made way up in 11, 12.
Yeah. Well,
still a good result.
Wasn't gainly, but it was quick. He's second behind Bert Hefty. Next up is Stephen Holcomb. He too is looking for a place in the top 10. Holcomb, 2012 two-man world champion last year in Altenberg, 13th in the two-man race. I want to improve on that.
Played from Sam McGuff, running back from the University of Michigan, Rice University. Played the Canadian Football League, played with the Raiders and Cards on their practice squads. 5:41 start.
I want to know what tiny percentage of body fat McGuffey's got there. Isn't an ounce on him that's not raw muscle.
This is his World Cup debut.
Yes, it is.
Holcomb had great speed on the bottom part of the track, in the top 5 in the speeds, but didn't have a good top half.
2/10 lead down to 500.
Boy. If he stays clean down here, he could keep it. Well, that's a pretty good line, but it's not a 2. So now it's game on for the world champion in two-man bobsled in 2012.
Good lines. In the red, but he needs to come back. Needs to find more speed. Look, much neater and tidier than the Koreans. And yet, is he going to be in front of Kim?
No, I'd have the 7th best time of the run.
But he's only just in front of Kim, and yet Kim was sideways pretty much from the Kreisel to the finish line. It was a much tidier looking drive from Holcomb.
Yeah, he only beat Kim by 10 hundredths. And that's what this time that he had on Kim in the first run. He had only 19 hundredths, so 7th best time of the run for Steve Holcomb. And welcome Sam McGuff to the world of bobsledding. Lines here. Gets a little unlucky there, taps, but boy, he doesn't steer much. You got this back end going there for a skid.
Yeah, but think how sideways the Korean was. He was touching both walls, and yet Holcomb couldn't get any extra speed on him. Wow. Bert Hefty leads, Steve Holcomb second, and Kim of Korea third, halfway through our second heat. Snowball fights at Altenberg, bobsleigh race also going on. Season opener in the two-man World Cup. Martin Haven, John Morgan watching the action with you as we now have two of our three Latvian sleds, 10th and 9th. The last one will be last because he was leading after the first heat. Uga Zalims, 29-year-old firefighter. We talk about the sports that people come from. You know, anybody in your life did you ever meet who was a tug-of-war competitor? Uga Zalims was. There's your leaders. Bert Hefty looking happy in the leaders box despite a gentle dusting of snow.
The brakeman Damas has been around a long time.
Yeah.
This is the Latvian three sled. We only saw him twice last year. And he won a silver medal in St. Moritz. So very powerful. 7th best start in the first run. 5:31, 5:30 here. Not very good start speed, though. Perplexed at that moment with that clock.
There's a couple of times where some of the speeds have looked completely wacky.
Suspect, yeah.
And with the way the snow is falling and the sleds are breaking the beams, I have to say that it may not always be right. Yeah.
3,500s is a huge lead.
That is a big lead.
But, you know, Altenberg, this is the track.
Look at that, tidied up the skid nicely. 3800s, he's nearly 4/10 up going into the Kreisel. That's a good line, good exit. Little rub on the wall.
He's got a lot of time in the bank here. Only a serious mistake could prevent him from finishing in that position.
That. 4/10 up, nearly 3/10 up now. Still a third of a second over Bert Hefty, last year's winner. And Zalims comes to the line, 57.39, takes the lead away, guarantees himself a top 10 place. Last year's two races, 11th, and as you said, silver medal for him. Joint silver in St. Moritz, tied with Bert Hefty.
See the little antenna on the front of the sleds. All the sleds carry it with the telemetry box inside. That's where we get the speed data and the G-forces. Not a bad run. I mean, can't be very critical. Good start. A little bit of a drift here, but that's pretty right down the middle. Here.
Seen worse.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tap.
Holcomb and Kim to name but two. There's Uga Zalims. Well, we're going to have a Latvian leading after this next sled because one of his teammates is up. This is Oskars Kībermanis. He's the kid in the team, if you like, the younger driver, 22 years old, from Decathlon. Virus Live Bombs, 29-year-old brakeman, bit of a veteran now in the squad, an ex-soccer player, footballer.
Latvians got the 1st, 7th, and 7th start times in the first run. So they bring athletes to the table that can really push the sleds.
Look at the way he gets in as well.
5:23, 800 better than his first run. Start speed was...
Kībermanis was in there like he was hot buttered. He just slid in without touching anything. That was a brilliant load.
So we've got
900s up on Zalims, their teammates. There was 200ths of a second between the Latvia 2 and 3 sled in the first heat.
Yeah, that tells me he should have had more. See, it's down to 4. He should have had more than that because of that start. He might have made a mistake up there at 6 or 7. We didn't see anything.
Well, sometimes you don't. If the sled is straight, it can be because they're steering too much. Or they've chosen a slightly different runner, which is digging the ice a bit more.
Enough.
100th behind.
Doesn't have the speed.
Tuck your head down now. Go for the line. You know where it is. 400's back. He's turned over by his teammate.
Guarantees you at least 2 Latvian sleds in the top 9, if not 3. Because we have Melbardis, the leader, yet to come. And that little small Baltic country.
3 in the top 10 from a tiny nation like Latvia.
Yeah, right.
That's 1 sled per million head of population. At which stage the USA and Russia should have something like 100 sleds in the top 10 each.
Yeah, the exit of Kreisel, a little down the left side of our screen.
Take that, but he got turned over by his teammates.
His mistake was up top. He should have taken that better start time and advanced it. He should have been a quarter-second lead out of curve 8, and he was only like 6 or 10 hundredths ahead.
Here's Ron Oskars Kībermanis tonight. Loser pays. No, let's not get there just before we get our final sleds down. Weather might change. Looks like it's pretty much set in for the afternoon. It's fairly consistent. Not blowing harder,
Yeah,
not snowing harder.
The first run, we saw a lot of it blowing across the straightaway in the first, above the first curve. Looks like it's just a little bit, can't say that looks like wet snow.
Switzerland's Rico Pader on the right of your screen, and the Hulk side to side going at the back of the picture. That's Bro van der Zijde.
So I see it, this is one of the best start velocity teams we saw in the first run. And that guy in the back, he could be in the world's, toughest man contest, because he is a huge man.
Rico Pader last year won the last World Cup race of the season in Sochi, going into the World Championships. The end of a real breakout year for him.
Keep our eyes on his edge. Look at his head tucked in there, the brakeman. Watch his entry into the sled, see how quickly he's down. Well, that's a fool. When I said that, he drifted. Speed, and then give it to us good. Ooh, drift there too, tapped. Well, he doesn't have that much time in the bank.
Not a whole lot. This is a really tight little battle.
And the whole rest of the way is a tight battle.
1,300 of a second, down to 11th to 8.
That might be related to the start, though. So let's see if he can stop the bleeding, keep it at 2 or 3 in the green.
Ooh, nasty skids.
All right, that's not bad. Speed holds a good line here. Rico Pader really proved to us last year he can drive, because he won a World Cup in Sochi, finished second.
500 ton, he's pulling away, and these Swiss-built Citius sleds always have good top speed.
Yeah, he's pulling away now. He's going to be the leader. He'll emerge as Switzerland #1. And that's a big deal in Switzerland.
Wow.
Good run.
57.36. Only one sled has gone down quicker. 57.34 Beat Hefty, but Hefty was too far behind in the first heat, and both runs count. Did they not, we'd have a Swiss 1-2 with Hefty 200s ahead of Rico Pader.
Hefty didn't have a good first run.
Yeah, that's a different rule, and we don't use that one. So Rico Pader has the lead of the race with 7 to go.
The Swiss won this competition last year, Hefty.
Yeah.
Look at this. Now let's watch the technique here. That's the brakeman. Power step, 1 step in, down, arms up together. I don't know where the fault is there, but he did drift to the left. The brakeman looked clean.
Yeah, I wonder if
he had hooked his foot on the
grabbed it
D-ring
slightly, because you only have to twitch in the wrong place and the sled moves at that velocity. Well, the Swiss leading with Rico Pader, 7 to go. Rico Pader was 4th last year. Alexander Kasyanov next for Russia, with Dmitry Trenenkov behind him.
Trenenkov, one of the Olympic gold medalists on Zubkov's sled in 4-man in 2014. He took a year off. He's backsliding. And Kasyanov, great speed on the bottom part of the track in the first run. And really tells me, and he had great times in training. I think he's just using the 2-man as a warm-up for the 4-man.
Quicker stars as well. They went 400s faster.
Still 700s back right now. But if he keeps that at 10 or 12, he's got a chance at the bottom.
6th quickest getaway in the competition.
Oh, he lost more. I don't think he's going to be able to reel the Swiss in at the bottom here.
All right, well, this is quite a neat and tidy looking drive. Again, then you look at runner setup. When a racing car is inexplicably slow and the driver seems to be doing everything, you look at the contact patch, that's the tire.
Yeah, he doesn't have it here.
And in sliding, you look at the same. There's either too much runner on the ice or not enough. And in this case, too much friction.
10th best time of the run. Boy, that's... Again, he's using this as a warm-up for 4-man. He was, in the first run, he was flying down the track. He had the 2nd fastest speed in the first run. This time, he had about the 5th or 6th. It looks like the snow's coming in harder here.
Yeah. Well, first run off the 16th fastest start, he came down 7th quickest. This time off the 6th fastest start, he's only the 3rd quickest run. I beg your pardon, only the 6th quickest run.
With the lines. Just 1 tap.
Yep. That is the wrong runners for the conditions now. They were better in the first heat, or the conditions were better suited to his runners. So they learn something every slide, and what they learned is whatever runner choice they had didn't work in this snow.
Well, they're still in the top.
Yeah, they lead with 6 to go.
No,
3 of which are German. Oh, no, they're not. I beg your pardon.
Rico
Peda leads with
places,
6 to go. Yeah, they dropped, so they'll be in the top 10, but only just.
That's about what he finishes in the two-man. Here's the guy. Watch the technique here of this brakeman.
Yeah.
This guy's got 3 golds and a silver, the brakeman does, around his neck in the Olympic Games of rolling. Kevin Kuska.
And
Max Arndt. Ooh. Funny the way that's come out of the blocks there. Look at the technique. Watch how big this guy gets in, gets down so quick. There ain't no variance of the sled there.
That's a good
Max
start.
Arndt never has that type of starts. He doesn't do well in two-man. His specialty's four-man. In fact, he's the world champion the last 2 out of 3 years.
Now, this is the 3rd placed of our German sleds, don't forget. He came in low in the start draw.
Watch the lines here. He was like a video game in the first run. He was perfect. How's this?
Yeah. I tell you what, if he
touch anything yet?
If he can hang on to Kuska, this team could end up winning medals for Germany all season long in the two-man.
How's this line?
Beautiful.
Have we seen him touch anything yet?
4,800s up from 1,800s in front at the start. Half a second up.
Just hit one wall, Max.
This could be a medal for Max Arndt. Start draw number 19 in the
Wow,
snow.
57.03. Wow.
That's a mere 3/10 of a second quicker than anybody else. 3/10, not 300s.
Wow. You know, Kuska, as big as he is, you can't just sit there in the back like a sandbag. You got to ride the sled.
Yeah.
Nobody's more experienced at riding bobsleds than Kevin Kuska. And what, tomorrow, you want to make a bet? Max Arndt, the way he's driving these sleds. Now, we talk about the technique here, Kevin Kuska. Oh, look at his hand come off.
Wow,
We just talk how
both
experienced
hands
he was.
came off.
Yeah, so we just praised him as being the most experienced guy in the field, but I tell you, he got in the sled pretty good.
Even Harry Houdini made a mistake.
Yeah.
Next up, Justin Cripps, Canada 1. Our first starter of the two-man season with Alex Kopacz behind him. What can the Hawaiian-born Canadian do here?
Start in the first run, 5:22. Little drift there, 5:22 again. Start speed, 42 kilometers, and he taps out of the first curve.
Well, this now all comes down to setup. It's a new BTC sled. They swept the podium in the women's race yesterday, the BTC sleds.
Still, no matter what you set up, you still got to drive, and that drift out of that first curve and tap, that's going to cost him.
He'll be in the red at the Kreisel.
Keeps it 1 or 200s here, he's got a chance. 7, no. Now the times are just going to go falling away here. He's going to stay, maybe a fall behind Arndt, but he's too far ahead of the other teams to fall back more than one spot.
I think Arndt has really vaulted into the medals. This is not so much a reflection on Cripps, more a reflection on Arndt. 2,500s up, he's still a quarter second in front of Rico Peta, who lies second, and he finishes in second place.
Max Arndt's very happy. Kevin Kuska, he's used to being in that winner's box.
Kuska might have more leader box time than anybody apart from Andre Lange or Christoph Langen.
Boy, if I'm the next team, though, I go quick. I'm seeing more snow down here.
Yeah, you want your coat off and you want to be ready to go the instant the red light goes
watch
off.
the tap here on the right side of our screen. Might have came out of there too early, caused the back end to get into a skid. Down here on the exit at curve 9. This wasn't bad. That real big mistake was up there in exit curve 1.
Again, speed ebbing away without huge errors. It looks like
still
their setup wasn't that great. Still top 6.
Top 6, that's great.
Yeah. Great way to start the season.
International man of mysteries, we call him, Justin Cripps.
Well, he was 9th here last year, so 30% improvement already. Max Arndt leading the race with 5 to go, including 2 teammates.
Oh boy, this is interesting.
I'm saying now Germany could sweep this.
Yeah.
They might not.
Mel
But
Bardis is going to be in the medals.
Okay.
Here's an interesting story, though. These Koreans have never won a medal yet in World Cup bobsledding. They have in skeleton, and they've been knocking on the door 2 or 3 times last year.
Didn't race here last year, won. Best result was 5th in Calgary, a track he knows well. 6th in La Plagne, though, a track he does not know so well.
World Championships.
Yeah, they were there. Top 2, 6.
5:26.
That's a good getaway.
That's great.
Yeah.
Speed, everything, perfect line right there.
Again, we saw a very untidy drive from his teammate, and yet the speed kept climbing and climbing and climbing.
No way he could throw this 30-hundredths away. Not the way these lines are presented to us.
Somebody doing a great job with the setup on the sled.
400.
Because this is not as tidy a drive as Max Arndt.
But he's got a lot of time at the bank here.
Yep.
Yeah, there's still pretty
That's
tough
a
throwaway.
nice line as well. He's got control, and the sled is giving speed.
This is for the best Korean finish ever in 2-man or 4-man bobsledding right here. Done it.
Takes the lead by 2/10 from Max Arndt.
Best finish ever.
Wow.
For Korea, and watch out for 2 years from now, not only in men's bobsled, but men's skeleton also.
Well, listen, empirically on that last run, Max Arndt 57.03, won 57.08 on a German track against a German veteran. He's 500ths behind in the snow. He's doing a good job, and the team are doing a great job with the kit.
Drove well. This is in the curve 9. A little late here.
Yeah, more mistakes than Arndt, but more speed.
Yeah, he had 600ths better start, too.
Yeah.
Both heats, 1,200, that's 3,600ths there.
Yun Jung-won leads with 3 to go. Could it be Korea's first bobsleigh medal? Somebody needs to flake, but not by much.
Yeah, there's only a couple hundredths here.
Nico Walter and Christian Poser. Nico Walter in the medals on his home track last year with a bronze. He's in the same position now.
200 slow. And that means he gave up some speed and time to the Korean,
who he had a 200s lead over. So as he sat down, they were tied. Now this is a straight drag race between the Korean and Nico Walter. No advantage.
No, I'm telling you right now, he doesn't get this into 600 or 800, 600s here at the Kreisel, he's in trouble.
This is all of Germany's ingenuity in an FES sled versus the newcomers from Korea with the Kim sled.
This is a medal for Korea. We're watching history here, not of the sled coming down, but the guys in the leader's box.
1,400s behind, 1,500s behind.
Watch the celebration in this winner's
His
box.
home track, Nico Walter, is going to tumble perhaps out of the medals. Kim of Korea is in the medals. For the first time ever, a Korean bobsled driver will claim a World Cup medal. That is huge from one of Korea.
This is a hometown crowd favorite right here.
And it's quiet at the bottom.
Quiet at the bottom. And they're witnessing history. This is the first Asian to ever capture a medal. The Chinese have just entered the sport. We're going to Korea and China for the next 2 Olympics. There's the drift. Look at this in the first heat. Look at this.
Yep.
He's way over. Look at this. He's out of the lines that we've seen previously. That might have been it, because he was behind up there in curve 6. Nico Walter.
Whatever the Koreans are doing with the sled, it's working.
And this isn't done yet.
Nope. 2 to go. Yun Jung-won of Korea and Youngwoo Seo, they lead. Ahead of them are 2, well, maybe 4 more minutes of holding their breath. There are your leaders.
Well,
one on the left, Seo on the right.
I'm telling you, they're sweeping, but I'd want to go as quickly as I can.
Junior World Champion 2013, Senior World Champion 2013, World Champion 2015 in men's 2-man bobsleigh, Francesco Friedrich. Behind him, the veteran Torsten Margis. Friedrich from the Altenberg track.
Okay, put your seatbelts on. We're going to have a little exciting 1 minute here.
Friedrich
18.
1200s in front.
200's better. See his line here.
Margin as he sat down over one of Korea, 12 hundredths of a second. Margin at the second clock. It's going to be single digits. No, 26 hundredths. Wow.
Reflective of the start advantage. Still, you know, the Altenberg track can just throw your time away quickly. But this is, you know, the world champion 2 of the last 3 years.
0.3 of a second.
This could be a gold medal run right here.
Yeah.
I think this is the gold medal run. I don't know if the Latvians didn't have the speed the first run. They went earlier than Friedrich. So the Koreans at least have a bronze. And
This is just a demonstration run from Francesco Friedrich.
56, 64. Okay.
Only man to break the 56-second barrier. That's a stunning effort from Francesco Friedrich from Vienna.
Listen to the crowd this time.
They haven't seen a German winner yet this weekend. They may just be seeing one.
From what I saw, that Latvian sled, they went second. Friedrich went 8th in the first run. Big snow difference. And this Latvian sled did not have good speed. 2 kilometers slower
snowing
speed.
harder now.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Latvian sled's going to have all he could do to finish ahead of the Koreans.
There's a big gap. There's a half-second gap between first and second. The Latvians could stay in the lead.
Like his teammate, Max Arndt, he didn't brush too many walls.
No. So here we go then for the first win of the year. Oskars Melbardis, our World Cup champion. If there was a yellow jersey, he'd be wearing it. Last year's World Cup season winner.
He's got a dig deep here. They did not have a very good speed. 2 kilometers slower than Francisco Friedrich in the first run.
Friedrich matched them in the start, but was 1,200 slower down the track.
2 kilometers slower than the Koreans in the first run down in the finish. But they did have the best start time in the first run. He's going to need 17, 16 here to really make a statement. Oh, 5.4, not very good. That's not very good.
That's half their lead gone.
He's already in red numbers.
How can he be? He only gave away 6 of 1,200s.
The start velocity wasn't very good either.
We've only had 1 clock. Let's see where he is at the second one. 2 tenths back.
So he's third now at the moment.
Yeah, just squeezing in second place ahead of one of Korea, but there's a lot of mileage to go. 2,700s back. One is 48 behind at the line, and the Koreans were flying down at the bottom of the track. He's not going to finish second. One of Korea's first medal might be a silver, but Francesco Friedrich, the world champion, is going to be our race winner here in Altenberg. The battle is on for second place for Melbardis, and he just
sneaks in by
200s. But Francesco Friedrich in the blue hat and Torsten Margis are your race winners. The world champion wins.
The 4th different nation to win here this weekend in Altenberg. Tells you how competitive the sports of bobsleigh and slalom are. 4th different nation in 4 races.
Well, Friedrich only finished 5th on his home track in last year's 2-man race in Altenberg, but he claims victory today. And second place for Oskars Melbardis and Damen Streiskins, and in 3rd position, Yun Jung-wo won and Jung-wo Seo make history.
These are the 2 big start monsters who usually have the best starts. What happened here?
Not anymore. Friedrichs and Margis
look at this
have
drift
caught
here.
them.
Look a little, not much.
Not much, baby, but this is a sport of not much.
They didn't have the speed in the first run down below on the track. They went early. They had a snow advantage, but I give them credit for just hanging in there for the silver medal.
Yep. Great run from them, but a great race from Francesco Friedrichs and Torsten Margis. Friedrich claiming victory in the season opener. Well, a huge effort at the start as well. Fastest getaway of the competition at 5:18, and they racked up the speed down the track. It was a copybook effort from Friedrich. Nico Walter, a fellow Altenberg star, in 4th place. Max Arndt in 5th. Germany 1st, 4th, and 5th on home ice. Oskars Melbardis and Yun Jong-won of Korea So Germany, Latvia, Korea, your podium. Germany, Canada. Justin Cripps in 6th position ahead of Rico Pater. Last year's race winner, Bert Hefty. We're going to have to wait for the turn of the page to see that he finished in 11th spot, a drop of 10 places in 12 months. And Stephen Holcomb in 12th position, finished 13th last year, so he's up 1 in 12 months. Well. Germany have their first winner of the weekend with only one discipline remaining. But Francesco Friedrich, the double two-man world champion, sure put the effort in there, didn't he? Right at the start, they beat everybody else and on every other corner down the track.
Well, his impressive start, the best start in the second run wasn't the Latvians, which it usually is, it was Friedrich and Margus, the two decathletes. They put down an unbelievable start. He made no mistakes and traveled down the track and showed us why he's won the world championships twice. And how old is he, Martin? 25?
Francesco Friedrich, yeah, he's a double world champion at 25. He's triple world champion because he was junior
25.
world champion. He could still go for the junior worlds at 25.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And
last year's runner-up in the standings, but he didn't race in Sochi because he was training up for the World Championships. So he could have been our World Cup champion. He won 3 races to the 2 of Oskars Melbardis, and he had a disappointing 5th place kind of fumble of the ball here in the two-man race on his home ice. So should have been on the podium there as well.
Look at the snow coming in now.
Well,
it's a snow race, but really, the leaderboard, we're pretty familiar with those names, except for the Koreans. But we did say the Koreans have been knocking on the door last season a couple different times. Today, once you get in that door, that's once you start your podium parade, it gets a lot easier the second, third time out.
Yep. Well, it's a game changer. Once you've got a medal, then you're disappointed the next time when you don't get a medal. And that's what turns contenders into winners. Hardy crowd with lots of green of Saxony. Snowy day in Altenberg, but the locals don't care. They have a German winner, and he's a local boy from Pirna, just down the road. Francesco Friedrich, race 1 winner of the series. He leads the standings ahead of last year's World Cup champion Oskars Melbardis and Yoon Jong-won of Korea. A historic day, a first ever bobsled medal for any Asian pilot, and the driver Yoon Jong-won, their first for Korea. Well, first race in from our 8th in the World Cup season. And already last year's world champion is the man on top form. He is the one that they will all try and beat next time out in Winterberg, Germany, another track that he knows well.
Pretty exciting day. I mean, Friedrich, Margus, wow, great athletes. And Friedrich, is just cruising along as the best two-man driver in the world. And his nemesis, Hefty, doesn't look like he's got the start time anymore. This is the best starter. And Melbardis, the Latvia, used to be the best starter. Friedrich has bypassed him there. And here they are at the bottom with the gold medal. And pretty historic day, though, seeing the Koreans up there.
There's one, and Seo on the right-hand side. 5:18 for our race winners, the start time. Bert Hefty, 5:37. That's not just a few hundreds, that's 2/10 slower. And the Latvians, second position. They're humble when they win. They're humble when they don't win. They know this is a competition of hundredths of a second. Torsten Margus, and on the right, Francesco Friedrich, your race winners here. Altenberg, Germany, step 1 on the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup Tour. The Koreans in the medals on day 1 of the season. And it is 4-man day tomorrow. Will the crowd be just as happy? Will the Koreans be just as smiley? Only one way to find out. Join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, and the rest of the IBSF TV crew for the 4-man race on Sunday morning.